Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Luis Vasquez from FootMexSource.com. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football. Let's go ahead and meet tonight's experts from all parts of the North American continent, CONCACAF, of course, who will bring us insights, opinions, and all thoughts on tonight's topics. Let's go ahead and meet Tom Marshall, who's back. Had a couple of weeks, actually just 1 week, on hiatus. How are you doing, Tom, from Guadalajara, Jalisco? Now at ESPN officially, right, Tom?
Yeah, now working just for ESPN, so enjoying that. Yeah, busy weekend with the games. Went to Leones Negros and Chivas, so good times. Looking forward to LA on Saturday and then Kansas the week after. So yeah, all good.
Lots of travel for you, Tom, and also you're going to be a part of the ESPN staff that's going to be on TV. So get that suit ready to go, and we'll be seeing you.
Don't remind me, I get too nervous.
So here we go, guys. I think it's going to be a fun time seeing Tom. Good luck to you, Tom, over there, and we'll make sure to make faces in the crowd so you can get even more nervous when we're behind you. All right, going over to saying hello to Mr. Jason Marquitz, Soccer Mexicana. Jason, nice to have you on the show, sir. How are you?
I'm great. That was good. Yeah, it was an exciting Liga MX weekend. A lot of unexpected results, so it was intense, and it's good we get a little international break here to calm down a bit and relax into some L3.
Good. I know that you will also be joining Tom and myself in LA, so it should be fun times to have you on the West Coast. I'm sure the weather, you'll enjoy the weather. How's the weather where you're at right now?
It's not non-suicidal at this point. We're just to the point where it's just capable of sustaining life. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting out of here for a few days.
Nice. And always ray of sunshine for the Mexican Soccer Show, Mr. Johnny Rico himself, who just tweeted out. What was the tweet, Tom? That's coming from Tom. The return of Johnny Rico. The return of the Rico. Johnny, how are you doing? Works right now with the Xolos Squinkles. Very, very busy man, and will also be part of the LA Mexican Soccer Show coverage. How's it going, Johnny? What's new?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, like you said, busy at work. This weekend I met this little girl named Murphy and found out a lot about her law. Anything that could go wrong went wrong as far as the results I wanted in Liga MX.
Murphy's Law, very nice way to put it. I was like, where are you going with this, Johnny?
You on the right show.
Oh, man, that was very nice. All right, guys, well, let's get started on tonight's show. We have a lot to talk about with a lot of things that happened in the week. I mean, starting from Tuesday, lots of things that went on. Every day there was some news, something that definitely surprising. So we have a great show. Talk about El Tri with the list of players for the upcoming friendly against Ecuador and Paraguay. The Liga MX relegation talks, which is the talk of the town, the talk of Twitter. What's happening with America and its crisis? I like to say that. Or is this the return for Chivas, Chepo de la Torre, Cubo, Salcido, everyone involved, and much, much more. So we have a jam-packed today here at the Mexican Soccer Show. I'd like to welcome everybody that's on the chat. Already 25 people watching. The usual Salvador Dos Mares, Tony Medina, Robert Milligan, Milan Ayala, and Joe Vaught. And also Johnny's there because, Johnny likes to multitask and be part of the show. So if you have any questions, you can always have them on there and ask them. We'll do our best to answer them. Keep it real, keep it simple, and I'm sure some good discussions on the chat. But let's go ahead and start the show. Guys, a lot of things that were happening over the week, but I'd like to take your take from Tuesday to Monday. And if you remember, obviously, with America losing, in Costa Rica, with Chivas winning and coming to his first final in 10 years, with Piojo's list, with America losing again, it's 4-0, with Chivas winning in the relegation. What was a big surprise of this week for you guys? Take it away. Tom.
I don't know. I think probably America. I mean, I think that we've talked before. I've talked before about like this becoming like a mini golden period now for America. Obviously, a couple of titles in the bag, and like the CONCACAF Champions League was a big, opportunity to really, throw down the gauntlet and make the claim as the team in CONCACAF, the best team, undisputedly. And the wheels have really fallen off. 3-0 away in Costa Rica, Herediano, and then following that up with on Friday a disastrous 4-0 loss against Veracruz. So I'd have to say America, but putting it into the context of they've been so good over the last couple of years.
Exactly, yes. Talking a little about America, but definitely up there on the surprises. Jason, big surprise for you of the week, or do you concur with Mr. Tom Marshall?
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise would be the loss in Costa Rica for America. You think, if anything, you're going to be up for that. I mean, a loss in the league is a loss in the league, but losing the CONCACAF Champions League game was a bit surprising. For me, I mean, other than that, I would say, like, more on a personal note, seeing Cruz Azul win a game was kind of surprising. I didn't see that coming against Tijuana, so that was a complete shock for me. And then after the João Rojas' ridiculous red card, I really expected the meltdown to be in full force, and somehow they just held on. So that was a complete shock there as well.
Yes. Obviously, I would have thought the complete shock for you would be Massa, not playing that game and having not being in the selección. I don't know. It's Massa Rodriguez and Cruz Azul. Johnny, what was the big surprise for you this week on all the drama? And I'm sure, obviously, since you're an Americanista, but sometimes I know that you haven't been feeling too great about your Eagles. And was it that big of a surprise? Or you're the kind of person that, because I've talked to some Americanistas saying, you know what, I knew this was going to happen sooner or later with Matosas in help. So take it away.
Well, I think as far as surprises of the week, the America topic has been well covered. My big surprise, I guess I'll choose Yarbrough being selected by the U.S. men's national team. Once you analyze it point by point, it makes sense, but it's still the big surprise of the week. As far as America, there's few that can claim the "I told you so" card as far as the America meltdown. I did have my reservations about Matosas before he was even elected. Even after he was put in as manager, I've been saying for the past about 3 weeks that America will probably make the Liguilla in 6th or 7th place, which is a huge difference from the first place of Mohamed.
Yeah, definitely we'll be analyzing a little bit. Obviously, America, 2 big losses back to back. I don't remember a time America, I guess, that had 2 big losses in that kind of impact. I don't know, Johnny. We'll talk about it a little more if you remember 2 losses back to back like that. 2 different competitions, obviously, but big surprise for me. Also, kind of you said it. Everything all around, just a crazy week. Yarbrough, obviously, me being as a León fan, talking. I was just there in León, talking to some people in the press that I know who have always said that Yarbrough has said, quoted saying, 100% Mexicano, looking to be, part of El Tri and obviously have that call up. So I know we discussed it a while ago. Tom, a couple of months, at least a month back, I know that. Him being called, but interesting enough. I'll share that with you, Johnny. Big surprise. So let's get to it. Let's talk about the obviously a big week and go over El Tri. Big news. Finally, we're going to talk about Mexican national team. The list is out. Looking at obviously the first 12 of players, the Europeos coming in, and then Piojo making sure that's obviously filling up the list. But let's talk about the list. Any surprises already? Mentioning it, it looked like it was Tuesday that it was about to come out, and it was a little delayed. Looking for probably of the. I know Peralta being injured was a big part of why it was a little delayed. Looking for that other forward and that replacement. But I'll take it to you, Tom. What do you like about the list, or in any surprises? What do you think?
I think that. First of all, the goalkeeper, Jesus Corona, has been playing well, but I think Talavera has been excellent this season, and considering Herrera's only called up 2 keepers, I thought he might have gone for the younger Talavera, considering I think Corona's now like 34. So there's a bit of a surprise, and they've got a bit of a history, Corona and Herrera, at the World Cup. There's a bit of friction there, which they both kind of try and distance themselves from, but I think it was pretty much definitely there. What else surprising? I think one not necessarily surprising, but to point out is that a lot of people on Twitter and stuff were talking about players like Pizarro, Irving Lozano, Eric Gutierrez, the Pachuca trio, and I think Miguel Herrera has been quite open in saying that, and Cubo Torres as well, in that the younger players that still qualify for the Olympic team and the under-20s team, he's gonna let them carry out that process as much as possible. So he's not going to be calling in these 20-year-old, 19-year-olds into the national team right now. He's gonna let those generations kind of go through the natural stage with the national team, and then after that, maybe call them in. So I think that's why the younger players haven't been called up. Jurgen Damm, I think he's got a big future with the national team. Just bags of potential. He's improving all the time, so I'm excited to see him. He's a really bright kid as well, fluent in English, speaks decent German. So yeah, I think he's a player with a bright future. Where he's going to play, I think he's going to be a bit of an issue, because I think he's going to be a bit victim of if you like, the Aquino syndrome, where where does a right winger play in a 5-3-2?
4-4-2. Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult. So, and then up front, I think it's interesting. Raul Jimenez played quite well the other day, but he's not been getting minutes. Chicharito, no minutes. Eduardo Herrera, I don't personally think he's national team quality, although I do agree that he does offer a bit more of a physical presence to the others. So I think a bit, I don't know, up front it's not as strong as I'd like it to be. And then you've got, Cato Dominguez back, Oswaldo Alanis, and those two players who they've been around the last couple of squads, but still question marks about whether moving forward they have the quality as well to play international, moving forward to a World Cup.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the actual list. And as you can see, it was
that cross.
It was updated by Foodmex staff, making sure we get the correct. So obviously Guillermo Ochoa, Corona, we have the keepers: Aguilar, Dominguez, Alanis, Diego Reyes, Hector Moreno back with El Tri, Ayala. Torres Nilo was a big surprise, I think, but it looks like we don't have in that position. Being one of Chepo's guys, great guy. I got a chance to talk to him when he was in Phoenix. Aldrete, Layun finally getting some minutes. Hector Herrera, the star of the team, I think. Jonathan Dos Santos, which is everyone's excited to see. Gallito Vasquez, the only player from León. A lot of people were thinking other players were coming in. Andrés Guardado, Tecatito Corona, Dueñas, Guames, like you said, and Damm, the young guys. Carlos Medina, Chicharito Hernandez, Giovanni Dos Santos, Herrera, and Raul Jimenez, who had a great assist in his last game. It looked like getting some confidence back on the field. But there it is, guys. Aquí estamos. And obviously, Massa Rodriguez not being able to join the team and didn't play in the Cruz Azul game also with some family problems. Hoping to see everything's okay with his family, and a little bit of surprise that he's not going to be in the list. So there it is, guys. Aquí estamos, being the hashtag with the FMF, but showing everyone out there. Johnny, obviously you look at the list. You've seen that you're going to be at the game. I asked you also any surprises, or did you think would you qualify this list? I know we've seen it in the past as bad or good, but it looks like Piojo definitely does his homework, and it looks like the players that need to be there. I can't think of that many players that should be there that shouldn't have. Johnny, what do you think overall?
Overall, it's a good list. My one standout observation is there's three, maybe even 4 players for the left wingback position. There's Layun, Guardado, Aldrete, and Torres Nilo that all can play in that left wingback. There's only one real right wingback, and you can put in Layun in that position too. So it's kind of unbalanced there in my opinion, but
yeah,
I don't know what Herrera is looking for as far as options and like variantes as they like to call them.
Yeah, I wonder if Jonathan Dos Santos might play might be given a go. I mean, I've talked about it a bit before, but I'd really like to see him on that right wing back as well. Considering he's playing at the right midfield, well, he has been, not in the last couple of weeks, but he has been playing right midfield for Villarreal, and then moving back to Barcelona, he did play some of the time as a right back. So I don't know. I mean, I think somebody will ask Herrera that in the press conferences.
Also, I see a lot of central midfielders. There's Güemes, there's Juan Carlos Medina, there's Hector Herrera.
Even
there's a lot.
Layun also playing that in Watford. It looks like everyone's so versatile in that mid.
Yes, even Layun. So there's a lot of players for that position as well. And up top, there's lo mejorcito que hay, whatever's available. There's really not many more options other than Chicharito and Raúl Jiménez.
Definitely, we did see Vela being coming back and playing with Real Sociedad, but not 100%. Jason, and we'll end with you, sir. Obviously, surprised us or to talk. I'll ask you, where do you think we're good at? If you have to think about defense, mid, or forwards, looks like everyone's been saying pretty much we have stacked mid there. What do you think on the list and the players?
Yeah, the midfield's obviously the strength because there's so many options, different ways to go. I mean, I think the one thing that did surprise me, and I know that there were the commitments to the youth team, but I think bringing in Jürgen Damm was great, and I think Pizarro should be there as well for exactly what we're talking about with that right wing back. I know he's committed to the youth team, but bringing Rodolfo Pizarro in for that right wing back, I think would be really important. So I think that's like for me, that's the one clear miss because I think getting him time with the senior team would be important. I was happy about Güemes being in the list. I think he's an important player to be bringing along with the team, and getting him some playing time in that defensive midfield role will be great. And I was happy about Torres Nilo, who was mentioned earlier, getting in the roster because I think it gives a little tactical flexibility for Herrera being able to go to like a four-man back line if you really want to do something like that. Torres Nilo, just a true left back. So being able to use him would be good. Let's see, Diego Reyes, obviously too. Like he's kind of, more of an expectation to be on the list, but it's good that he's not being forgotten. Because he is so important in the national team still. So him being on the list is really key because frankly, there isn't another player of his age and caliber in that central defensive role.
Yeah, I think another thing that I know. When I first saw the list, and when you think back to the World Cup, it's almost 9 months from the World Cup now, and you expect some changes going on. And I know Massa Rodriguez isn't going to be there, and Rafa Marquez for personal reasons and injury. But if you look at the team and the players that he's named, I think that and Peralta's injury as well. I think that 9 or 10 of the World Cup starting 11, the ones that started the group stage games, I think are still there. They're still the best. You know what I mean? And I think the only exception that's absolutely 100% guaranteed is Carlos Vela.
Yeah, definitely a great look at that. It looks like we're finally making that transition. I was kind of noticing, and I know at the World Cup, a lot of the young guys, but the young guys did it that are there, like you said, those nines, but that transition isn't there. The same team that Chepo was bringing in 2013, 2 years ago, I think finally we have made the transition of those players stepping up, but I like it. I wanted to see Massa still to see how he was coming in, but we're looking at that. Do you guys reckon that Andrés Guardado will try to be captaining the team?
I reckon he will. This is the first time he's been in the squad. Hector Moreno is his first game back from that injury with the national team. So there's a potential there for him to be captain. I remember that when we had kind of had this discussion, before the World Cup, the post Rafa Marquez. I don't think anybody really expected Rafa Marquez to continue after the World Cup, but obviously he has. So I think he's still the captain, but when he's not around, I think the debate was Guardado or Moreno. I think most people went for Moreno, but personally, I really like Andrés Guardado. I think he's a little bit older. I think he's a bit better at speaking. He's got more of an edge to him. I like how he's not afraid to come out and challenge the press and I think he's like really well respected. That's not saying Moreno isn't. I just think in terms of a speaker and someone who can represent the players on the squad, I think Guardado has been there and done it and been in various European leagues and has the right experience to do it moving forward.
Definitely, and I know a lot of you criticize on the internet because of Piojo saying that he'll have the players that are playing in Europe when he first started, and obviously not be there with Chicharito, Raúl Jiménez, and Diego Reyes. But this is the only FIFA date for him before the Copa America and Copa Oro. I think there was a little, I guess the problem for him is to see the players while they're in action, see and talk to them, see how they're feeling, and see if they have that rhythm. I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if Piojo doesn't call a player that is not in rhythm at all when he sees them, and I think that's why a little surprised. We talked about it a couple weeks back. Aquino not playing at all, not being on the list. He just didn't see he had the potential of making it and not wasting his time. So it says there that he wants the players that he sees fit and that are going to be part of his system. So interesting to see who will be starting, and interesting to see in the game. We will be having a special Mexican soccer show. I know we'll be talking about it right before the game. We'll try to see who will be joining on there. I know some of us will be in LA. Cesar staying back on this one, but we'll have a lot of fun with it. But any last thoughts, guys, on the team before we take off and we'll start talking about Liga MX and other topics? Any last words?
Yeah, one of the comments on the comment section of the YouTube video, I think it was Joe Bot, he mentioned that Eduardo Herrera is kind of Piojo Herrera's last striker option before calling a naturalizado in. And I think he might be right. I think the lack of strikers that Mexico has right now is being shown, and I think naturalizado could be called in the next friendly matches against the United States and the other non-FIFA date friendlies.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I know it's negative, but I think with that striking situation, I don't think there's any doubt about the quality of the players that Herrera's named. But I go back to this same point that I think I made a couple of weeks ago, and that's that if this is Brazil or Argentina, and their main strikers aren't playing in Europe, then they don't get picked. You know what I mean? And I think more than anything, it's not Herrera's fault. I think we're right in saying that he doesn't have anyone else in the Liga MX. To be honest, doesn't have. I don't think apart from Peralta, there's any real striker right now of national team quality. And I think that it's a worry for Mexico that there isn't that depth that the bigger countries do have, and the teams that make the semi-finals of the World Cup have. And I think that's when Mexico wants to advance to those semi-finals, those finals. I mean, you need that kind of depth of player pool for competition for places, and just for in terms of quality.
Yeah, and you know what? Right now is. If I'm not mistaken, a guy like Avilés Hurtado, I'm not saying he's the greatest thing ever, but he's playing at a high level at the moment, and he could be a difference maker. And I'm pretty sure like I said, if I'm not mistaken, he's playing as a Mexican national for Jaguares.
Good to see that. It'd be great talk to see the first naturalizado from Piojo. It'd be really kind of fun and great topic, but. Great segment into talking about naturalizado who is not going to be playing with Mexico. Well, actually, he might have a chance. Let's talk a little bit about Yarbrough. Let's talk about the big drama. We talk about players and we talked over the years, but I don't remember a player causing this much commotion with picking, obviously the U.S. men's national team, our biggest rival in the region, and what that entailed. I know we talked about it a little while ago, Tom. You mentioned it, looking to see that in Arturo Alvarado and also Yarbrough in the sights of Jurgen Klinsmann. I kind of brushed it off, being like, nah, I can see Alvarado, but not Yarbrough. But obviously, it's there. We've had the last person we had this discussion with, I think, was Fernando Arce Jr. We were seeing that he was able to be called, but Piojo also made it interesting the next day, saying, he's got great talent. I think a lot of people forget that he said that, but there's 7 or 8 just like him in the Liga MX. And then obviously, I don't know, how Piojo is, but it looked like he was right. Leon with his horrible 5-0, Yarbrough getting 5 goals, which obviously wouldn't say that it was his fault, but didn't have the greatest week. So let's talk about that. Is this a big loss for El Tri, Tom?
Big loss. I'd say at the minute, no. I think the key point with both of these players is their age. I think they're both kind of still improving. Yarbrough's just turned 26, but he's a goalkeeper, so he's got 2 World Cup cycles to come. Alvarado's 22, so I don't think Alvarado's only played 11 games in the Liga MX. So I think the first thing to say is that they weren't getting in this Mexico squad. You know what I mean? Even if they hadn't been called up for the US. I think Yarbrough had a chance of being in the next game against the US in April, and I think he had a chance of being within the 6. Remember, Herrera has to call up 6 goalkeepers this summer. That's what you have to keep in mind with Mexico. And I think that for the goalkeepers that are 26 and under, Mexican goalkeepers, Yarbrough is the best in terms of experience and what he's actually proved. I know that a lot of people on my Twitter are talking about Gudiño and Toño Rodriguez. They're both very talented keepers, but come on, so young for a goalkeeper. They've still got so much to prove, and let's be honest, like a lot of players don't live up to that potential. So I think Yarbrough is the best for his age in his age group. So is it a loss? Potentially, yeah. I mean, and I think, I don't know. I mean, I could talk a lot about this, but I think that one of the points that I don't think people are picking up on here is that the way the United States is in US soccer, the kind of consistency and the stability that is there is completely different to the Mexican side. So you look at the number of coaches that the US national team has, and the freedom there is in terms of there is now a genuine press covering soccer in the US, obviously, but it's nothing like the pressure on Klinsmann that Herrera or any Mexican national team manager has. They have to get results. They have to get them now. They don't have that leeway of kind of bringing in a player to kind of have a look. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Klinsmann has done here. He's seen Alvarado win the title with America. He's bringing him in. Let's have a look at him. He's versatile. He's a good player. He's got potential. Let's see what he's got. And I think Yarbrough as well. Let's bring him in. He's going to be among our keepers, like he would have been among the Mexican potentials for this summer. Let's bring him in and see what he's got. And I think that the US side does have that luxury in comparison to Mexico.
I mean, I agree with you on the fact that they're very talented and probably the best, under 25, 26 keeper. But I think a lot of people are saying, well, look, another one or another keeper lost now that Mexico did not. I don't think Piojo could have called him, in the time. Maybe he would have called him in the next one, but there was no way he was going to call him for this upcoming friendly. So I don't think there's a loss when we couldn't have called him. So I don't think Piojo is at fault because William Yarbrough is not in the didn't pick Mexico. It's not his opportunity to give everybody a call. Say, hey, you know what? In the future I might call you, because I don't think that's something that he did, and he can't promise that. And is it going to pass up?
No.
I also believe. In the Jurgen side, obviously he's going to call anybody that he thinks is there. I feel it's not his fault that Yarbrough is the bicampeón, and he has that experience keeper. But is it a loss for El Tri? We didn't even have the opportunity to call him, so we can't look at it. And I don't think I remember a single player in the situation of the having dual citizenship that we have been like, man, we should have called him and we needed to. So
now let's
go ahead, Johnny.
Now let's look at the other side of the coin. Is it a big loss for Mexico? How about what the player gains or loses? I think the player made a wise decision. I think there's a bigger future for him in the United States than there is in Mexico. Right now in Mexico, there's so many good goalkeepers in their prime. I mean, Ochoa, Talavera, just to name 2 that are probably going to battle it out for the next World Cup. The United States, they got really good goalkeepers for now for this summer, but the United sees a long-term project in their goal for a goalkeeper. And I think Yarbrough is going to be that long-term project. I think Yarbrough is going to be that goalkeeper that fights for the World Cup position. And so, as far as the player is concerned, I think he made the best possible choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. At the same time, I think what Herrera said about, there's 8 better goalkeepers in Mexico. I just think that Herrera has a history of whenever he's not happy at something, he spouts something out. You know what I mean? Like the
But it was because they
Maranadas.
were hounding him in that press station. I mean, the press conference. Don't you think? I mean, and he's like, "What?
Yeah.
I don't see him being in the top 7." Not necessarily thinking that, oh, I've already made a list and there's 7 better than him.
No, yeah, but obviously he's wound up by it. He doesn't like it because he's mentioned Yarbrough before. He has mentioned him. He's mentioned him a few occasions. That he's amongst that group of keepers. And the thing that I don't think when he said there's 8 better, there might be all right. Maybe he believes that there are 8 better, but those 8 that are better, I guarantee you that all of them are older than Yarbrough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
But I don't think he likes it. I don't think Herrera likes it one bit that Yarbrough went there. I think Alvarado, he doesn't. I don't know. Herrera. There was an interview about a month ago or a few weeks ago, and he's talking about Alvarado like he was a right wing back. He's like, oh, we've already got players there like Dueñas and Aguilar, and I'm like thinking, what? He's not a right wing back. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm being disrespectful.
He made a mistake,
towards
Tom. He made a
Piojo.
mistake. He made a mistake.
Yeah. I mean,
No, and I think he probably had. I mean, he had mentioned Yarbrough before too, in a press conference too. So I'm sure he had him in his sights, but he couldn't do anything to snatch him away. Jason, I've been a little quiet about this. Obviously, we don't talk about it often, but you do follow the U.S. national team, but in your opinion as a fan, is this something that also Klinsmann is doing too? Getting players from all over the world. I mean, look at Green. Coming to the World Cup where a lot of people criticize him, and then trying to snatch player here and there. Is this something on your side being criticized? Klinsmann a little bit and jumping to the gun on Yarbrough, because in my opinion, I don't think Yarbrough is national team material for the U.S. or Mexico. I love him, but he makes crucial mistakes and he's not ready for that type of pressure. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's wise for Klinsmann because you look for these little nationals, you look for whatever talent's out there. I mean, it makes sense. You bring him in, you see what he has. They have room for him. If they have room for him, bring him in, try him out, see what he has. Like, I could understand that completely, and it makes sense, as you guys mentioned earlier, it makes total sense for Yarbrough to go and make that decision for the U.S. because there's interest shown, and as Tom referenced, there's a stable manager and a stable federation that is showing that we have interest in you, and that it's not just going to be a turnover the next manager, and now you're dumped out and you're not part of the national team fold anymore. So it makes a lot of sense. I think. I don't think it's a big loss for Mexico. I'm not, just because I think like Yarbrough is still kind of developing. I don't think he is the full. I don't think he's reached his potential. We don't know if he will or not. But yes, Mexico doesn't have a lot of youth goalkeepers at this moment that have that quality. But I think goalkeepers a position that takes a lot of time to develop. I think it's. Goalkeepers hit their peak a lot later than other positions, so we don't really know who is going to develop into be that next guy. Maybe Mexico has them, maybe you don't. But it is true that there aren't a lot of goalkeepers at this point in the younger goalkeepers that Mexico has can say we have these guys for the future at this point, but they can still come. So it's a loss because you at least could point to Yarbrough and say, okay, here's a guy we could look at in the future, but he's not there now, and okay, it was a smart decision for him. You can understand why he made it. It's not something that the national team has to be fretting about at this point either. So it's kind of look at it both sides, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely a good point.
I
do
disagree.
Go ahead, Johnny.
I do disagree with what you also said that he's not national team material. I think he's good material for a long-term project for the United States.
Yeah, I think we saw what you said about his mistakes. Very very true. I think since he won the bicampeonato, a few mistakes have crept in there. But I think he's a fun goalkeeper. I think he's a lot of fun to watch because of those mistakes. You know, he's always on the edge. He's always coming out. I think his distribution is really, really good. I mean, top quality. His shot stopping's good, and yeah, I think the potential is that if he can cut out those mistakes, then he'll be a really good goalkeeper. But obviously, like Jason was hinting at there, it's that question mark. You never quite know with goalkeepers, especially goalkeepers.
Yeah, and Jason also, said it perfectly. Not very often do we have, here comes this young, amazing keeper that's 19, 20, 21, 22 in the national team. They're always, if you look at our keepers, they're always older, 25, 26, 27. So, but, I mean, he's done amazing things. I've definitely cheered for the guy. Good for him. I mean, he had to pretty much take it. If he said no now and he didn't develop, this is his chance. Could there still be a possibility that he can play for Mexico if he goes in these friendlies with the U.S. is my question.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
It's got to be an official tournament, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even Herrera mentioned that he'll still consider him even after this, just in case he wants to change his mind.
Well, good for that. As a Mexican fan, I know
That'd be funny, man. That'd be hilarious.
I mean, look at it.
Call him up for the April game.
It wouldn't be the first time. I remember Edgar Castillo played for Mexico and ended up with the United States.
But it'd be funny if he did it within 2 weeks. He's just a spy. He's just going there with the US to Europe, spying out what they've got ahead of the Gold Cup, and he's just gonna be like, all right.
What Yarbrough will also have to overcome is the fact that he mentioned various times that he would have preferred Mexico, months and maybe a year ago, and also that whenever he does get interviewed in the United States, his English is not that good. I've tried to interview him in English, and he does struggle with his English. So that's
who's that?
Yarbrough.
Yarbrough. I thought it was all right. His English.
It's not the English you expect from a guy that looks like he does.
Well, no.
Whoa!
It's not the Spanish you'd expect either.
Tom, switch over to Spanish. Vamos a hablar un poquito de español. Tom.
No, I'm just saying those are obstacles that he will have to overcome.
Yeah, no.
I don't know though. I think he's been quite clever though. I think what he's been saying. I mean, I don't think he's come out and said, "I want to play for Mexico." He said, "I feel Mexican. My heart's 100%. Mexican." But then again, it's like he was born in Mexico. He was raised in Mexico. Of course, he's gonna kind of feel Mexican. You know what I mean? But I think he's said on quite a number of occasions, "I'm gonna go with whoever picks me first." And I know some people really hate that from both sides. The US and Mexico side. They want their players to be like, "No, I'm Mexican. I might have been born in the US, but I'm Mexican. I want to play for Mexico." But I mean, I don't know. I think from a player's point of view, it's the perfectly natural position because at the end of the day, they've got short careers. Someone like Yarbrough probably, will want to go to Europe at some point. Maybe Alvarado as well. And when you put yourself on that international stage, that's a big time kind of opportunity to be scouted by European teams.
Yeah, it happens. It happens everywhere. And as much as us, the patriotism that we have, I would love to see him there. But look at Rossi for Italy.
We didn't touch too much on Alvarado. I think Alvarado could have been the one to possibly have a future with the Mexican national team if he would have waited out a little more, get a little more playing time with America to be considered for Mexico. Because in the central defense for Mexico, I mean, if Reyes doesn't work out, if Reyes, continues along the path that he's going, there's going to be a big gap there that Ventura Alvarado to get more playing time with America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how deep their central defense is, but I could have seen a little more possibility for Ventura Alvarado with Mexico.
Yeah. I think that you look at the squad list for these upcoming games and you look at a potential Copa America, but the defense that Piojo is going to send to that tournament worries me big time. I mean, you got the possibility of like Venegas from Atlas. And Cato Dominguez, I don't think is a bad player, but like I said before, he's the international quality. And I think really you look at the ages of those players, and it's like what's coming behind. Same with Yarbrough in a way. But I think you've got Alvarado, 22 years old, and you've got Carlos Salcedo, and I think you've got Marin from Chivas as well, who hasn't got the experience yet. But I think Alvarado. I think you're completely 100% right, Johnny. I think he is that next, but he would have had to wait. You know what I mean? He definitely would have had to wait. And I think the good thing about Alvarado, which I think Klinsmann is going to love, is his versatility. I mean, we've seen him play at every position in the back four over the last 6 months for America.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a big gap in that Central America. I know he's never been considered, but I would throw in there Javier Gandolfi.
Gandolfi.
Nice. Looking at the backside. All right, guys. Well, I know we spent a little time. It is a topic that it's on everyone's mind, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of it. I mean, looking at the way that football is bringing up, and that we're seeing that. Good for the U.S. A player that for Italy that stayed when the U.S. called him, he said no. So I mean, there could be that instance. But I mean, if Brazil called up Jonathan Dos Santos, before Mexico, I mean, would he say, from the history that he has in his father, would he have gone to play for Brazil? So I think we take lightly sometimes the dual citizenships, and it's going to happen more often. I don't just like Jason said, I don't think it's a loss now. It could be, but who knows? All I know is that when Yarbrough is in the, being the goalie of the U.S. and he's playing Mexico, it doesn't matter who it is. Hopefully we scored 5 or 6 on him. As much as it would be weird to see that, but it'd be fun times. But let's switch it over. I know we discussed a lot. Let's go into Liga MX. Let's go into obviously Chivas and America. What should we talk about first? Let's talk about America, since Johnny is on. Johnny, you said Murphy's Law coming into the beginning. Two of the worst games that I've seen. And I wasn't watching. I couldn't watch the game in Heredia in Costa Rica, and didn't get to watch the Sunday game. But tell me, crisis mode? I mean, Matosas was almost looking to get stacked. I didn't think it was going to happen. They came together. Should you be worried about your team? Should the Americanistas should be worried about the team in what's happening right now?
Well, the thing is, I'm no more worried than when I was during week 1. I've never had faith in Matosas to begin with.
I have.
So, I guess it's business as usual for me.
Business as usual? You just lost 9-0.
Well,
in 2 games.
Like I said, I've never had faith in Matosas to begin with, and in Costa Rica, I can point to the long list of injuries in that game. I mean, our starting goalkeeper, Moises Munoz, being one big factor. The Hugo Gonzalez just completely messed up on one goal. America played down a player since the first half. There was no one to really score the goals. Benedetto and Peralta are injured. I think if Dario Benedetto can get healthy by the second leg, I think America could have a chance to turn it around. I mean, they need 3-0 for extra times and win 4-0 to go keep going to the final. And I think only if Benedetto returns, that's even remotely possible.
Yeah, I think we've seen it, especially in the CONCACAF, in these games. The travel gets to you, especially the midweek travel. You're done playing a game Saturday or Sunday, and you have to travel. You look at what happened to La Liga in the Montreal game. Going over there, who would have thought? And then definitely very surprising in this game, and we'll see how it goes. Jason, America and Matosas, what are your thoughts? We saw today that. It was looking like he might be fired, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you think, a lot of people were taking that he had Mohamed's team, and then he tried to play with it, Quintero not working, and the same thing that I asked to Johnny, is this something that is in crisis mode, seeing the way that they're spiraling down, and now that Chivas is coming back up, changing turns?
I mean, it's nowhere near a crisis. I mean, like, I know the tendency is toward hysteria, and you see those big numbers and those big results, and there's the tendency to just freak out, and I get it. I would certainly freak out if it was my team as well. But I mean, the big picture here, and I know we don't deal in big picture in the Mexican media and in the Liga MX, but the big picture is these are defending champions. They have tons of turnover in the roster, plenty of injuries. You have a new manager come in. There's always going to be hiccups this season. They didn't come immediately at the beginning of the season, but there's hiccups. They're bad ones. They look bad. It's just not the prettiest of things. But ultimately, you get through the season, you finish in the top 8, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter whether you finish first or sixth. I know Americanistas don't want to hear that, but it's the truth because, I mean, sixth place in that Liguilla gives you the equal chances as the 1 spot. I mean, it really doesn't matter going forward. It's good to get the hiccups out of the way, sort out the roster as best as they can now, get everyone healthy, and you get back at it. And ultimately, it doesn't matter for the team. I mean, they're going to get past this. I mean, even if you don't have the faith in Matosas at this point, like he also needs to be given a fair shake because he hasn't. I mean, well, maybe you don't need to get a fair shake. So obviously, Turco didn't really get a fair shake, but I mean, given time, like he has to have time to sort it out. Nothing was going to be perfectly smooth this first season with him.
Yeah. What I like, I mean, in his press conference today, they're both coming out, America and Matosas, and saying that, they had a meeting, and Matosas saying, I needed to talk about the objectives, and I needed to figure out if I was the problem, and need to know what to do. So I think they're coming out, and they're working together. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to be sacked. Tom, same question to you. I mean, go ahead, Johnny.
I'm sorry. I'll jump in after Tom.
Okay, fine. Tom, Matosas, is seeing his track record. I mean, would it surprise you if he doesn't get a couple of results in the next 2-3 weeks and something does happen?
No, I think he will. I mean, America, that's how it's run. They want results, and they spent a lot of money to bring in the players that they have. Whether that's right or not, is a different question. And I would point out that the change from Mohamed to Matosas isn't just replacing one guy with another. It's a completely different philosophy on how to play the game, different formation and different style.
But was that also Mohamed's players that they brought in?
Who's that?
I mean, Benedetto. I mean, it looked like. I mean, did Matosas really have a hand in the people that he wanted other than Quintero, probably?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but at the end of the day, the top players, they're proven as well in Mexico, and I don't think Matosas can complain about the players that he's got. I just think he needs a bit more time, but it doesn't look good when they're losing 3-0 in the CONCACAF Champions League, a tournament that Mexican teams usually absolutely dominate.
Let's see, Johnny, you're about to say.
Yeah, on the Matosas press conference today, that is one thing that I think what did not need to happen. I look at Matosas' track record and I see that he presented his resignation on numerous times at León, and numerous times they had to reject that resignation. And rumors are that he resigned after the 4-0 loss. And I think I think that's a tactic that he uses to get attention, which I'm not a big fan of. And he's at America now. He needs to suck up the losses and keep working on that, and not be resigning after a bad week.
Yeah, I think the other thing with Matosas is in international competition. I mean, León went out against Herediano in the group stage. León were terrible in the Copa Libertadores when he actually had a brilliant team. You know what I mean? You look back when all those players were on form, Montes, Gullit Peña, Yarbrough was absolutely on fire then. Marquez was there. He had a Bosse was, he had a really, really good team, and he lost against Bolivar. Like he went out to Bolivar. It's like
on they played 4 matches and lost 3 of them.
I mean, in terms of like kind of, there has to be a question mark. Is there a way not to beat America? You know what I mean? Is there not? And I think that way is really sitting back and frustrating them, and then hitting them hard on the counter when they're all over the place.
Yeah. No, it's definitely kind of a changing. Going up to what he did versus what he did versus Saprissa. It just definitely very, very surprising how we all thought him coming in and going into Herediano would be the same result. So interesting to see. Johnny, when's the CONCACAF game? Is it this week?
No, first week of April.
Yeah, 8th of April.
So there you go. Not back to back. And getting some time to work on and see the La Liga. Hopefully, they could take it back. I think they could if everyone's playing right, and it is, in the Estadio Azteca. Have we seen that? Hopefully, it comes back. But interesting to see. See what's going on with the chats. Everybody's a little worried about Johnny. Johnny seems a little sad on the chat on there. So fun times. Comments like, looks like someone ran over Johnny's puppy. Johnny, how you doing, man? You looking good. You look a little sad. Is it America? Is it taking a toll on you?
It's when you're not in first place. It is hard times when you're not in first place.
Good. All right, guys, we'll switch it over to who is having a great week. If we could have a best week ever for Chivas, having an amazing week for them. Obviously, getting into a final after so many years, 2006 in the Liga, and obviously the Copa Libertadores final. Cubo Torres being the man of the hour. But not only that, I'll ask you guys right now, surprise of Chivas, but what's the surprise of Chivas? Is it Chepo de la Torre's coaching? Is it Bravo, who is finally back to us forward and scoring goals? I think it was a golazo in that game. Cubo Torres, the fans, overall everything. Tom, you're in Guadalajara. What's going on with this Chivas? Have we finally seen the return of Chivas? Yes or no?
I think so, yeah. I think it's finally meshing together. I mean, Chepo, we know he's all about his team being absolutely solid. And I think what we saw on Sunday especially, I know it was only 1-0, but I think Chivas were undisputedly the best team, especially in the second half. I thought they were very, very good for the first 20, 25 minutes of that second half. And I think, yeah, attacking-wise, you've got Brizuela. I thought it was best game since he signed for Chivas. I thought he was really direct, and he was showing that form that before the World Cup we were all talking about Brizuela. And then all of a sudden he dipped. Fierro, using his pace, a lot more direct as well, and causing problems. And then, Omar Bravo, whatever people say about him, I know Chivas fans out there don't like him, even though he's 4 goals off Javarez' all-time record for the club. He works his sleeves off, you know what I mean? He really does. And yeah, Fabian as well, having a good game. So, it's coming together. And I think, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure everybody watched the game, but I mean, from my point of view, being in the stadium, I mean, I've been here, I've criticised Chivas, and Chivas have taken a lot of criticism from all corners, really, on the new stadium, the fact that it's outside the city. Guadalajara locals just really don't like it. I mean, you take a taxi, and the taxi driver in general will slate the stadium. They just really don't like it. They don't like going out there. It's too far. It's not got the traditional feel of the Estadio Jalisco. I'll tell you what it is. The new stadium is modern. It's plastic. There is a plastic element to it. It's corporate. It's it's beer stands outside. You're not allowed to bring your own drinks in. It's everything you have to buy inside. It's like an American stadium, to put it in other words. It's like an American NFL stadium and kind of atmosphere. I mean, I know Jason's probably been visited, and I don't know. Do you agree with that or?
I haven't been in the Omni Life, but I mean that's certainly the reputation it has. Like, yeah, it's just that kind of the Pepsi Co kind of stadium kind of thing. So it's it doesn't have the character, but like you were saying, Tom, like it's starting to
like a pop-up stadium
fill in a bit. Right?
No, but I mean yesterday. I mean this is the first time since the stadium opened in 2010 that yesterday I was there in the last couple of games as well. I could genuinely say to somebody, coming down from the US or wherever, the Omni Life is worth a visit because you go there now outside. And I came a bit late because I was watching the Spanish Clásico, and outside and people are there with the beers and the carne asada. They're having a good time. They're there with the family. Everybody's wearing Chivas shirts. I mean, it's like Johnny would love it. Johnny Rico would absolutely love it.
Whoa. Those are outlandish claims.
But no, all joking aside, it's coming together for Chivas.
That's coming very close to defamation of character.
It feels like Chivas games. They were once like an integral part of Guadalajara, the city's life. Sunday, let's go to Chivas. The family goes. It's like a tradition, and I think they lost that for a few years, and now it's back.
Yeah, definitely exciting when you tweet out and there's video. It's that Chivas is back and looking at it. Everything seems to work for Chivas. All the players, Salcido name in that contención, Chepo doing the right thing. I know I've been saying when are we going to give the credit to Chepo what he's doing. And even Bravo, as a person who's never really liked Bravo, his goals, I mean, amazing. I haven't seen Fabian. I'm sorry, I haven't seen Fabian play this well in a very long time. Even when he was Cruz Azul, back in his old Chivas, in what he's doing. But Brizuela, as you mentioned, everyone's doing well, and everything is clicking for Chivas. Jason, is it safe? I know you look at the relegation talk, but I mean, is it safe to say that if we remember 47 minutes into the Puebla game, we were still worried for Chivas? Can we say that Chivas is finally safe? Can we say that they're ready to go? Looking at the points, and I'll put the points up right now if Mr. Engineer over here, the producers, can put the points up, and we're looking at the table. But tell me about the relegation in Chivas and your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely not technically safe, and there's still the possibility that they could be relegated, but it's looking, I mean, realistically, it's not going to happen. I mean, 8-point lead with 6 games to go. It's just, I mean, it's possible. It's just not going to happen. Puebla are just too far deep right now. It's really coming down like what it's looking. It's going to be either Puebla or Leones Negros at this point. Negros obviously have that capability of getting into a very safe position with just a couple wins, but I mean, Puebla are in big trouble at this point. They need to go around and basically win just about all of their games at this point to get back into position and hope that Chivas slip. They're really going to need to slip. And, I mean, what we mentioned before, I mean, I think what you have to give the most credit to is you have to give the credit to Chepo for the mental side. Mm-hmm. I mean, just that all these players are truly performing at this point, and they're just clicking together where, I mean, I think what you've seen in the Chivas in those big spots in the past, they've kind of just melted down. And obviously, you say that Chivas have a more talented roster than they've had in a long time at this point, and that's certainly true. But you just see all these players clicking and performing every week at this point, and that's something we haven't seen with Chivas in a long time. So give the credit to them. Yeah, they seem like they're safe at this point. 8 points, 6 games. I don't see it happening.
Good. Johnny, I know you like to talk Chivas, man, but what's going on? What do you think is worth for Chivas and where they're at now? Looking at obviously, third place, having 20 points, only 3 away from Cholos. What's worked? What in your thoughts, other than what we mentioned already?
I think something clicked within the players. I can't even credit Chepo that the pressure finally clicked. Like, hey, we better get our acts together. It's really now or never. I think it was that Puebla game. They were down 1-0 against Puebla, which would have pulled them down to the bottom along with Puebla. Just I think a point within each other, as Leones Negros and Veracruz were starting to separate from them, if that result held up. But the players kind of finally got it together. They turned that game around, and they put 5-point separation from them and Puebla, and now this week pushed it up to 8-point separation. So I think, I think they finally broke free of that negative pressure and used it, positive. And I'm talking about they as the players. I don't know if there was something else Chepo could have said or done differently. I think it was all up to the players.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at that, looking at the horizon for it, like we mentioned, obviously that Puebla. I mean, everyone's just kind of pretty much saying Puebla Leones Negros, and looking at that matchup is gonna be the matchup. But let's take a look at pretty much the overall of what happened this weekend, and just kind of discuss really quick on what it is that happened. Surprisingly, I mean, looking at the obviously Monterrey León, the León game, but it's up. Tom, surprise or a pretty overall weekend? What stood out for you aside from the America loss and in the Liga?
Yeah, I mean, go back to the American thing, but I know we talked a lot about America, but Veracruz, I mean, won't go on about it too long, but lost one game and just battered, the reigning champion. I mean, that is unbelievable compared to where they were at the start of the season. And obviously Monterrey, very interesting that as America's struggling, the manager who left is now slowly getting it together. In that Cardona looks an unbelievable player. The Colombians looked the new wave of Colombia, the Mejia, as he called Yimi Chara, slowly getting it together. And watch out. I mean, they're in 13th now, but they're only 2 points off the playoffs, Monterrey. So I've said it before, but I think Monterrey is a team that player for player is one of the best squads in the league, and I would be scared of facing them if they make the playoff. Put it that way, because Mohamed is unbelievable at negotiating those 2-leg games.
Nice. What about you guys, Johnny or Jason, on the league overall and what happened over the weekend?
A couple teams that I wouldn't expect to get a win got a win this weekend with Querétaro getting a win. Winning any game was surprising. Winning over Atlas was a little more surprising. And I think Chiapas going on the road, Chiapas on the road is generally marked up as a loss. So going into the Jalisco and taking out Leones Negros was a bit surprising. I still don't trust Leones Negros week to week. I never know. I don't know, the speed attack. I think sometimes it hits and sometimes it misses. So I mean, they're a team I don't trust week to week. I think they're still gonna get enough results to be safe. But Chiapas going in there and getting a win was pretty surprising for me.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Chiapas winning on the road, like you said. Johnny, surprise over the weekend on any of what happened?
I'd have to say Querétaro winning. Again, Querétaro just looked like a team that was dead and doomed for the rest of the season, kind of like Morelia was or is.
Nice.
Ronaldinho on the bench again. Unbelievable.
I think Querétaro were doing great before Ronaldinho came, and I think as they start to edge out Ronaldinho, they'll start getting better.
Yeah.
Ronaldinho. See him in probably MLS next season. What do you think?
No, I don't think he's good enough. I don't think MLS will. He's not done enough. I honestly don't think he's. I don't think an MLS team will pay the money because he's not done enough for Querétaro.
I sort of agree with Tom. It's like the teams that can afford him are too smart to get him, and the teams that are not smart enough that they won't have the money to get him.
Interesting way to put it. All right, guys. Well, we're getting towards the end. I think we've already gone out. Closing the show, obviously, we have Tom. Here we have a request on Twitter.
Not yet. Not here yet. So what we're doing on Saturday, we're all going to be in LA. Should we meet up somewhere a few hours after the game or what?
Yeah, we'll have a special bar edition of the Mexican Soccer Show.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
We should look for a bar somewhere not far from the stadium or something, and then invite people if they want to come down.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be fun to have maybe a live after show. But guys, I know it's already been an hour. Thank you so much for being on the Mexican Soccer Show. For all of you guys that are on the chat, we'll be talking a lot with everyone during the week. Definitely be on the lookout for special shows that we do have before in the end of the game and at the beginning of the game. So it should be a lot of fun. Johnny, thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much, Jason. Definitely follow these guys on Twitter and what we do have on there, and we make sure to include you. We're looking to have some of the practices also, and maybe some media coverage with the Mexican Soccer Show and all of the actual press conferences that are there. But Tom wanted to say get a special guest that he has and wanted to bring up with to the Mexican Soccer Show.
Puppy Day, National Puppy Day. Here he is.
National Puppy Day. And,
special guest. Special guest, isn't it?
What's his name? Tom.
Gizmo.
Is that the famous Gizmo?
Gizmo. What kind of dog is he?
He's a mix.
He's a mix?
He's a half pug, half Yorkshire Terrier.
Nice,
There he is.
nice, nice, nice. Say hello, say hello. So see, we have some puppies on the show. There you go.
There we go.
All
Alright.
right, guys. Well, it's been fun, but we'll talk to you guys. Please definitely keep joining and spread the word and follow the Mexican Soccer Show on Twitter, guys. Signing off from Phoenix. We'll see you all this weekend. All right, guys.